You know, I heard about this. The anti-woke and companies doing this. Seems like they're the real grifters after all.
It is time to expose Toyota. They have gone totally woke.
Meet Robbie Starbuck.
If you spend money at John Deere, are you helping pay for the sexual transitions of children? This is Harley Davidson. It's time for them to be exposed.
The conservative activist has been taking on corporations over what he calls their woke policies. And he's been having a lot of success.
All right, y'all, we've got another massive win to report. Toyota has just sent this email out to their employees and dealerships. Walmart has decided on making some changes.
Since last summer,
No, he's not the only one. There's a bunch of guys like this. And all of them are super based.
Starbuck has claimed responsibility for over a dozen public companies dialing back their diversity efforts.
I think Starbucks activism definitely lends some strength to the go woke, go broke sentiment that you hear from some on the right.
Your wallet is a weapon. You do have a voice in this.
To learn about his activism and which companies are his newest targets, the Wall Street Journal visited Starbuck to get a never-before-seen look at his work behind the scenes.
Although I haven't heard about this guy. I've heard about many others, mostly referring to the gaming industry, but not particularly in more industrial sites.
All right, guys. Hey, this is Robbie Starbuck. We're on the set where I typically do my TV hits. Right now, I'm about to go on to do a hit for TBN.
Welcome back to Stack Back Tonight. We're talking to filmmaker, activist, and host of the Robbie Starbuck Show, Robbie Starbuck. Why would these companies do this?
Starbuck works on his crusade against diversity, equity, and inclusion, or DEI programs, from a studio in his home outside of Nashville.
He makes it sound like it's a bad thing, but let's be clear. DEI is arguably one of the most racist things that has come out of corporations. They're actively pushing out people with talent in favor of a common ideology. And at the same time, they're being subtly racist because they're assuming that other races are inferior because they can't compete to the same quality or same standard as, well, whites or sometimes even Asians.
A lot of this is predicated on what happened in 2020. So after George Floyd, what happened was executives got put in this position where they were incredibly fearful of being framed as racist.
Today, Starbuck is best known for his activism, but his venture into conservative politics is a relatively recent endeavor.
Shining like a flashlight.
In a previous life, Starbuck directed music videos in Hollywood for big names like Snoop Dogg and Megadeth.
My journey from the entertainment industry to today, it started in many ways as a father seeing it come into my kids' schools, this ideology that has permeated corporate America now. A lot of people describe it as woke.
That there you go. That's where most of the problem comes from. I feel like most people didn't even care about this stuff until they started being promoted to children.
And my kid comes home and she says, Dad, they had this person come to the school and they talked about white privilege. And at the time, I'd never heard of the term white privilege. So I look it up and I do research on the person that they had come in. And I find they're just a total radical Marxist.
Starbuck's politics are rooted in his family's history. He says his family fled Cuba in 1965 after their ranch was confiscated by the Castro regime.
My family, they lost everything to communism, and I see this ideology as sort of a modern form of communism. I don't think there's a polite way.
Okay, I'm just gonna say this. A lot of the rich people that lost their land during the whole communist thing that happened, communist fiasco that happened in Cuba, they lost it for a reason. Some of them were innocent, of course, but a lot of them were complicit in a lot of the debauchery that was going on over there.
Way to say it. I raised hell over it, and I was really the first parent to speak up. And me being able to do it from a lens of being a minority myself made it a little more awkward for, the faculty there who were mostly, from a certain subset of the left, where they didn't have that same ability, but they thought that they had the wisdom to speak for all minorities, right? All right, y'all, you're going to want to see this.
Last summer, Starbuck began his first corporate campaign, targeting the agricultural equipment chain Tractor Supply Company.
We're going to expose it all the craziness that they have done that their customers have no clue about.
You know, every day we were dropping a new piece of information about how they had sort of strayed from the values of their consumers. And at the time, a lot of people were still of the mindset, there's no way you're going to get this company to change things. They're worth billions and billions of dollars. You're one guy.
3 weeks later, Tractor Supply caved. The company said in a statement that it would retire its DEI goals, stop sponsoring pride festivals, and no longer submit data to the Human Rights Campaign, the
Wow, that's very, very impressive. God damn, bro.
nonprofit that grades companies on their policies when it comes to LGBTQ workers. Tractor Supply and the Human Rights Campaign declined to comment on this story.
So these are all the statements from companies that we have convinced to change. You've got Brown-Forman, owner of Jack Daniels, Lowe's.
Starbucks has gone after over a dozen public companies, each of which has since announced retreats from their DEI policies.
How exactly did this guy even manage to do this? Like, what kind of... Because I know that a lot of DEI people or activists, they will threaten a company saying that they're going to ruin their reputation online by promoting them as racist or as prejudice. But as a conservative, what are you threatening the company with? You can't threaten them by saying that they're going to be labeled as racist because, well, the right, technically, quote unquote, the right is the the racist ones. So, how? Monetary? Like, are you threatening them with going bankrupt because people won't want to buy their products? And if that's the case, then how do you even gather the people to do such a thing? You see what I'm saying? Then again, maybe in Tennessee there's more community or more of a sense of union within its residents compared to some place like California where everyone literally does whatever the hell they want and nobody really cares.
According to Starbucks.
Caterpillar, Harley Davidson, John Deere, and the one that started it all, Tractor Supply.
Starbucks' impact has been really significant so far. Companies have rolled back policies. They are worried about a social media attack by him. And this is on top of already mounting pressure from shareholder initiatives to litigation around DEI policies.
Starbucks shares its
Shareholder initiatives. As far as I'm aware, shareholders were the ones who pushed DEI into companies. So the fact that now they are the ones pressuring them, oh, it's because of the stock. Okay.
findings with its followers on X and Instagram. His posts about Tractor Supply were forwarded and posted so often that the name of the company started trending on X.
Social media is very important for Starbucks' success, and
1 million views on Twitter is crazy.
rather than a more private forum like a shareholder proposal or litigation, this is very public, and companies, I think, are thinking through the fact that they will need to react.
To date, Starbucks says the most challenging campaign was Harley-Davidson.
It wasn't hard from the context that I thought we couldn't change them. It was hard from the context of I knew how damaging this was in the process, and I couldn't believe that they were willing to continue down this path of essentially lighting money on fire and slapping their existing customer base in the face.
Harley Davidson of all brands, like not exactly the type of brand I would imagine a liberal arts student buying from.
The CEO of Harley Davidson, I know you're watching this video. No more donations to woke causes, no more donations to pride parades that parade sexuality to children. Just make motorcycles, period.
Starbucks posts about
Based.
Harley-Davidson were also amplified by billionaire Elon Musk.
We did an analysis of impressions and found that it was upward of 1 billion impressions via all of our Harley-Davidson stories that had occurred and all of the influencers who made videos and things like that. So anybody who knows the ad world knows companies pay enormous amounts of money to get 1 billion impressions on something. This is not the 1 billion impressions you wanted.
Harley-Davidson did not respond to a request for comment. Starbucks' activism appears to the world in his social media blitzes.
You know, I'm wondering what kind of reaction or yeah, you know what I mean? What kind of impression would the CEO of Harley Davidson have of this documentary? That's my question. More specifically, what was his face like when he had to overturn a lot of the stuff he was promoting?
but his campaigns are based on his own small team's painstaking, weeks-long investigations.
It's always predicated off of whistleblower testimony or them bringing forward evidence, things along those lines. We examine that and then we dig deeper and do an open source investigation where we're looking at things that are public but that most people never look at, like sustainability reports and things like that. We collect that all together and build a real portrait of how an ideology may have shaped or taken over a company.
When the Wall Street Journal visited Starbuck, he was working on a campaign for the automaker Nissan.
Bro, Nissan is cooked. They're already struggling financially. Maybe it's because of DEI, who knows? But as far as I'm aware, they're getting absorbed by Honda. So I don't know if I don't think they even care about getting investigated at this point.
This document I have in front of me is the 2023 Nissan DEI report. It's titled Accelerating Allyship. And the reason that we're looking at this is because oftentimes inside these you find different threads to pull about exactly what these companies are doing. So on this form, they say we define DEI as, and they've got equity listed, and it says recognizing that each person has different circumstances and allocating the resources and opportunities needed to reach an equal outcome. The horror of it is that it sounds so similar to equality that people get tricked into believing that they should accept equity. But equity, in fact, is something that seeks to strip excellence and really everything that makes you special and individual away from you.
Yeah, because they're forcing an outcome of you rather than allowing you to flourish in whatever way you would otherwise flourish. It's that simple. Every person is different. Every person is gonna have a different outcome. The ideal scenario is every person having an equal opportunity.
All right, y'all, I've got amazing news once again. Another company is dropping woke policies. Today, it is Nissan.
Notably, Nissan decided to roll back its DEI policies before Starbuck went public with his investigation.
When we approached Nissan with one of our findings in the story we were thinking about putting out, Nissan was ready to listen right away, and now we're very proud to be able to bring you these changes.
In response to a request for comment, Nissan wrote, "For nearly 4 decades, our commitment to respect and inclusion has been rooted in our values, shaped an environment where each of our team members can contribute at work, and, ultimately, contributed to the success of our business."
Not very successful. I mean, consider if the CNBC report is accurate, Nissan that was a lie.
Starbucks says he is mostly focused on companies that have a conservative customer base.
You have to have a strategy to first start with the companies that depend on the right-wing consumer. Once you start to shift those, you're starting to shift the psychology of the country. And in doing so, you start to be able to move a little bit further away from being so vastly populated by right-wing consumers. So that's how you eventually have seen us take on Toyota and Boeing and Walmart.
That's very smart.
Starbucks' activism is controversial and has attracted plenty of critics, some of whom have labeled his views racist and homophobic.
Proponents of DEI policies believe that this is good for the workforce, this is good for...
You know, I'm gonna just say this. I'm pretty sure that the critics they're talking about are Twitter mobs that are constantly threatening the guy with unaliving him and stuff like that, if you know what I mean. I doubt that a lot of the loud critics are intellectuals who want to discuss this with him. There might be some, but the majority usually are the mob.
customers, and it is good potentially for companies' financials as well.
So for my critics who claim that DEI improves anything at work, I think there's really only one answer I can give them, and it's that I hope they enjoyed reading the book, How to Lie with Statistics, because that's all they're doing.
For companies that he has yet to target, Starbuck has a message.
We're reasonable people. We're not here to shake companies down. Don't be afraid to reach out and ask questions. You know, I will offer advice for free to any of these executives at major companies and tell them what needs to change. You don't need to be a story to change.
You know, I'm gonna be real. This is amazing. He is literally the embodiment of the right wing currently, and that is almost exclusively diplomacy. Whereas the left has used coercion and a bunch of shady tactics to force people into their side. Peer pressure, you know, stuff like that. So I'm glad that you know, he's a good influence or a good representation of the right, because the right doesn't want to push anybody down, nor does it want to bully anybody. but it will fight against stuff that is just illogical and mentally ill.